Right.
All righty, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Somers Town Board work session starting here at 7:06, Wednesday, December 6th, 2023. We're going to first start off with a public hearing. Patty, can you give me publishing and postings, please?
Sure, that was published on record and on the town clerk's bulletin board on November 23rd.
Thank you so much. We are going to, I'll make a motion to open up the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move.
Aye.
Okay, is anybody here for, actually, before we start the public hearing, just one additional adjustment that we have on a salary adjustments. Director of Finance, Tax Receiver, Assessor, and Parks and Recreation Superintendent will be going from 2.75 to 3.5, and that is consistent with what we've been trying to do here as a town. Need a motion on that or no?
No, you're.
No. Thank you. Okay. Is anybody here for public comment? To talk about it for the public hearing? Anybody here for talk about the budget at all?
Open public comment?
Yeah? Come on up.
Did we open public comment? I don't,
No.
no, we did, okay.
Hi, how are you all doing? Excuse me. I was here recently for trustee appointment.
Right.
Well, nice to see you all again.
Name and,
It's Bill Keen. I live on Fairview Drive in Horton Estates.
got it.
Okay, so I'm here really for two purposes, to speak on two different things. One is the library and one is the Somers Water District.
You get 3 minutes, right?
Well, I was kind of hoping I could probably do it in three questions. And since it is two hats, I thought I might get your parents.
6.
So I guess the briefer one first on the so the Somers Water District, the Amawak-Shinnerock District. Right, it was started in 2003 because of the issues in Shinnerock. Shinnerock had issues with DEC, and the water wasn't up to code. And you know, the other communities, including Horton Estates, had issues with their water as well, right? And so Mary Beth Murphy led the charge to organize you know, kind of an effort, a nearly townwide effort to get us to get this district joined to the joint water district, right, which includes Montrose and Buchanan in addition to Yorktown. And so it was a great success, right? The board did a wonderful job. They were very open, asking people, do you want to join? People were allowed to opt out, you know, this idea. And so people who opted in understood that, you know, we had to pay for the piping, right? It was miles of pipe, and we had to pay for it. And so there was assessments for that. And the bond is now paid. It was 20 years. It was a 20-year note. And the tax assessment hasn't gone away. And so I don't understand. I really don't understand. I'd like to see that number go away. Right now, the water district has something like $1.5 million in reserve fund, which is quite a lot of money. The whole budget of the district is 1.1 million. So the reserve is even more than the budget, and this is due to this tax, which doesn't have to be used for bonds anymore, right? It doesn't have to be used for bond payments. So, you know, the other thing that strikes me as unfair is, you know, so there's consolidations going on as well, like when there's new developments and they join a district. I'm not sure that those folks are getting assessments, and I certainly would imagine they would object to getting assessments to pay for pipes in the ground in Amawak-Shinnerock. Yeah, so you know, when the district was formed, you know, it was, you know, it really wasn't discussed like what happens bond is paid. I think the presumption was, well, you know, we're not going to charge it for the pipe in the ground anymore. Yeah, so you know, so there's that. So in addition to it being you know, kind of silly and unfair, it's also it's a lot of money that's piling up. And as a ratepayer, I view it as my money. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, just last point on that. So the joint the joint water district, they charge 20 cents per thousand for capital as a general rule. As far as I know, there's no capital expense in the water budget. The water budget is a little bit it's not as detailed as the joint waterworks budget is. So it's a little bit hard to tell, but I just wanted to point that out for the board to consider. Yeah.
Well, obviously, we don't have the person who runs the water district here, but those are good questions. And
Well, he suggested it's a finance thing, and so
We'll have to-
show up tonight.
yeah, okay. Well, maybe next time we'll have that finance here, because I doubt we're going to be able to answer all those questions.
Yeah, I don't,
But they're very good questions. They make perfectly logical. So we'll see what.
One would think.
So good questions, no answers,
Yeah,
but we will get those answers,
super.
and hopefully you'll return maybe next week.
Is it possibly a timing thing? In other words,
Yeah.
you're right. I remember this very well. And
Yes.
20 years ago, and 20 years has expired, but did the clock start ticking at
Yes, in fact,
half years ago? And I don't know the answer to that.
well, I do.
Find
because
out.
It's in the audited books of the town.
Hmm.
Okay, there's something like, 500, the tax is $458,000
Mm.
for the Amwalk Shinnewark Walk part of the district. That was every year coming in and then going out.
Mhm.
It's still coming in, it's not going out. Now it's just absconded to this reserve, which continues to grow.
Yeah, I doubt we're not going to answer these
Fine.
for you, but I do want to ask a question. So when you discuss this with our superintendent of water, what is your understanding of how he replied to you about that?
What he mentioned was, well, gee, there's expenses that will come up, like a water tower will need to be repainted or some such, and that's, which is fine and understandable.
Yeah.
But that's not that's not a bond issue. That's not, right? That should come out of reserves or, that's not handled.
So that's your understanding of how he answered that.
So,
Yes.
so Bill, you're a little bit
All right.
ahead of us here. I'd be happy to talk offline as well. Typically what happens, if I recall what took place during the budget, so in general, we're really not fully reserved for, future repairs that are going to take place in the water district. And we're having conversations as to whether we should fortify that reserve as we go forward.
Yeah.
And maybe that's
I don't-
reference that you're making to using it for other expenses. So,
yeah, I'm gonna have
I want
to,
to understand the magnitude and proportion of what you're saying, what's being set aside and what's going away. All right.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess, to that, I would also say, if there's something if there's something large that happens that needs to be repaired, that should be discussed here, right? That should be an open, hey, we need to either bond for it or we need to talk about it, right? I don't mean to cast aspersions on, the head of the water district, but he showed up here and he was talking about, repairing fire hydrants, or replacing fire hydrants.
Replace-
Yeah, and it struck me as really ill-considered. And I also thought fire hydrants lasted 50 years, right? Also on fire hydrants, there is a line item in the budget on page 20 that on the revenue side that the town gets $60,000 in revenue from fire hydrant rental. And I was curious as to what that number represented.
That's for the fire.
Which he viewed as more appropriate levels of funding for staff as well as services. And, to date, she's been disappointed in what she's seeking.
are you speaking for Jennifer or are you
I'm
speaking?
speaking on
So-
behalf of the trustees.
Okay.
And so we're concerned that services are going to have to be cut. I guess I'm here to urge the board to maybe take another look at that, as you clearly did with some of your other departments before you arrived today. The library staff that has to get educated, right? These are master's level, people who are working in the library, and they're not being paid according to their peers. They're just not. And so,
Did you happen to discuss with the trustees any idea that you and I spoke about on the phone?
yes, I did. Yes, I did discuss that with them.
And did that go anywhere? I mean, not to get into the details or the personal items, I'm just wondering.
Yeah, well, it kind of came to here, right? I mean, you only have so many hours in a day, right? And so, today, the library is looking at a budget of a certain amount and, doesn't look like it's going to work. And so, right, right. So I think Jennifer had made recommendations, previously, and those remain unfulfilled, I think.
So Bill,
Un- Go ahead.
no, I think, when we went through the review with Jennifer, we talked about, changing some structural things like maybe the town, just handling all the building repairs and, essentially you just focus on program. I made the point that, if you're spending $1 on, anything but program without coming to the town to handle the building repairs and so on, I think you're probably not using the funds in a fashion that could be directed to
Thanks.
some of the things that you're doing. But, I think she's working with Rob to essentially work through that. I kind of think that if there's some structural changes in the way things are done, there'll be a positive result.
Yeah,
Some of the things that you're pointing to.
there was a recommendation particularly about maintenance.
Right.
And I'm not sure that actually was reflected in the budget because there was no change to the top line. So whether it could be a simple misunderstanding, but it seemed like the suggestion, to move money from one place to another within the budget, wasn't going to really move the ball because it's, our.
Well,
I'm also having just to point, right? I'm just having a hard time to discuss anything about the library when I still haven't seen all the library's numbers. Right? So we can't have a conversation when I haven't got all their numbers in place yet for us. We've asked for numbers since November. I still haven't gotten all the numbers yet and how we want to allocate certain things. So it's hard to have a conversation about the library when I don't have all that information in front of me. So, so we've done some things here, tried to help the library out. I think the last meeting we talked about a little bit, of when certain things come in, right? We're waiting for some reports to come in that we would have another conversation, but it was a little premature to have the conversation until that came in. Until all of that comes in, then we'll have the conversations with Jennifer and try to come to an understanding. But I can't talk about it when I don't have all the numbers in front of me. So-
Right. So, if, I don't think this is the venue, right?
Right.
Probably-
No.
It's not.
Right. It's clearly not.
It's public
Which is
comment.
why I really wanted to say, I think we need to talk a bit more. And I think it surprises me that you say that there's information that you were looking for from Jennifer that she hasn't provided. That's a surprise to me. And as a trustee, I would certainly work to get that resolved.
If you could,
Yeah.
hey, more than welcome to set up a meeting. Have you come in so we can talk about it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. About any of the issues, about the first issue or the second issue,
What's the first one?
Water.
the water.
Water.
Oh, water. Okay. Yes.
well, we'll get the answers to that. The second, that conversation would seem to be that would the logical one, just to get those numbers sorted out.
That's some information.
Just that, yes,
There's information that's yet.
right. And that one point about the 25,000, I think you and I had discussed
26.
26,000, that's money that is in the budget that would be, as anticipated, spent by the library budget on capital improvements that will now come out of a separate part of the town budget
Mhm.
that the library board of trustees can allocate in any way that they see fit as necessary to the operation of the library.
Yeah.
I think that was the point.
Right. And I think
It doesn't increase the top line. It just means
right.
less money has to be spent out of that budget.
Correct.
And that hole will be filled by monies from the town budget as a town building, and that the town will maintain in the capital maintenance of it.
I did follow up with finance about that and I heard no response.
All right.
Because I think it could be just confusion.
When did you call finance?
I sent him an email at least a week ago.
Okay.
I know,
Oh.
yes, I know that they were aware of that, and yeah, I was up there, I talked to them about it.
Right. I thought it was a misunderstanding, to be honest.
I think it is,
Yeah.
yes.
So Bill, just.
But we'll clarify.
Just one final comment for the public in a larger sense. I mean, when we go through budget processes, everybody's competing for dollars. So, everybody's parsing them and they're looking at, where it's being allocated. In its entirety, the budget, the town is coming under the tax cap. which means that we're actually giving money back to the town. And we've done that repeatedly for over 5 or 6 years. And, the number that our finance department would estimate that is to be over $2 to $2.3 million cumulatively. So, the board is focused on trying to keep everything, as efficient and as affordable for the town. And as it relates to the library and some of the things that are going on, we'd be happy to take a look at, some of the details, and we'll work through that.
Great.
All right?
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming.
Anybody else?
Hi, how are you?
How are
Howdy.
you?
Oh,
Name's Christy Dodona. I'm a community member. And just here to speak about the changes that are going on in Lincoln Hall. I know that there's a presentation.
That's coming up in a little bit.
Right, but I just wanted to get my question. This is.
This- We're still in the middle of public hearing.
So I can ask after their.
You can ask when we open up
Then
yes,
one-
public comment, correct? Anybody here for the public hearing?
public comment. Public hearing.
Public hearing.
Hearing, right?
Yes.
On the budget.
On the budget.
Hearing on the budget, right?
Anybody else? No? Okay. Patty, let's adjourn this to next week.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Okay, now we're going to open up, I'll make a motion to open up public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. If you could please keep your comments to 3 minutes, that would be great. There you go.
Sorry to make you sit down again.
There you are again.
Okay,
You're getting your steps in.
Looking for you.
so, I just had questions about Lincoln Hall and the changes that are taking place.
Mhm.
I have contacted Lincoln Hall and haven't gotten much response back. So I just wanted to publicly put my questions out there because I'm not sure if they'll be answered during the presentation. Firstly, I know that previously Lincoln Hall only housed the males from the ages of 12 to 17. And I was curious if that was still going to be the case,
Okay.
that they're changing who they're keeping there and most of the programs have closed and they're housing migrants from what I know now. How are we verifying the ages of these males, since I assume they're all coming in illegally? Is a 17-year-old male saying that he's a 17-year-old male when he's actually a 40-year-old male? Is there any rule out criteria like there was previously at Lincoln Hall for these children to be accepted into the program? Previously, Lincoln Hall would vet these people and say if they had a violent past or sexual assault or fire setting, they would not be allowed on premises. They wouldn't house them there. So I'm wondering if that is still the case. How many migrants is Lincoln Hall licensed to hold at any one time? And are there going to be any additional security measures being taken for the safety of the community and our town members now that the whole program has changed?
Those are
So-
good questions.
I hope
Okay, so
answers to them.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
ages, license, and safety. Okay.
Anybody else? Public comment? No? Okay. I'll make the motion to close out public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Let's move on to the town board. Updates. So many of you probably know, right? Our Somers football team, back-to-back state champs. So that's yes. There will be a parade on Saturday, the 16th, and step off is at 8:30, and that will be going from Van Tassel to the high school, same route as last year.
Did you say that was?
8:30 step off.
At night.
No, in the
AM.
AM, not at night. No, in the morning. The tree lighting was this Sunday. Well, I wouldn't say it didn't go off without a hitch.
But it's working.
It's working now. So, and I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce, Somers Lions Club, Somers Historical Society, the Highway Department, Police Department, Parks and Recreation, Stewart's Farm, and the musician Corey Beefy, who came in last minute. One of the chamber members, Kim Christensen, was able to find Corey Beefy. So he did a great job singing in the cheer for everybody.
It was good.
And it was a really good time.
And the kid on the bells was really good.
Yes. And then tomorrow we have the menorah lighting. That's why we're here on a Wednesday, doing our board meeting, and the menorah lighting is tomorrow. I think I have some updates on that as well. Let's move on here to number 2, North Edge Realty Corp. Formal development submission. I know Gus Boniello's here and the crew. So welcome back for.
Thank you. And congratulations to the football team. That's quite an achievement. Obviously 2 years in a row, even better.
Made it there 3 years in a row. They won it 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, here we go.
But we appreciate your congratulations.
Yes.
We actually had nothing to do with it.
Well, I too many stories, but not at this moment in terms of other experiences related to things like that. But anyway, my name is Richard O'Rourke. I'm with the law firm of Keenan Bean, and of course here on behalf of North Edge Realty, Boniello Development. As you know, this is a petition that is to implement a provision that's within your ordinance already. And we fit the bill in terms of everything that is required for this petition to be granted. Insofar as what we have done over the past 2 years is the petition has evolved and it's changed. We think all for the better. We appreciate the comments from your planner. And tonight we're on for the acceptance of the petition and declare the intention to act as lead agency and authorize the circulation of the notice of intention, which is required under secret. With that, that's why we're here. And certainly Gus is here. We can go into greater detail with it if you wish. But I think we've aired this for quite some time, and I think at the town board meeting. So
Yeah, I just Gus, if you'd like to come up, just give the overall
sure.
again.
There's been some changes, right? I mean,
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's, I
Right.
just want to get, so
want to hear about
it's
that.
in its entirety again. So
In its entirety?
yeah, if you want to just lay it out.
No problem. 77 units, 15% affordable. That is. So, Joe, sorry. Gus, just real quick, I'm just curious. What happened from every petition, and I know this is not for you, every petition, it's a different number of.
Well, it started,
So we
yes,
started off at like 90, then we eventually.
started at 97. When we went down to 70, it was with 10% affordable.
Okay,
But it was brought up by the, your planner that, it's not the way the regulation is written. And it sounded like it was inferred to us basically that it would be better at the 15%, keep it, this way there are no changes to the zoning. So that's why it bumped up to the 77 units. That's where it was before the last submission. Was
I'm
7.
gonna, I don't understand that. What do you mean? It was, our planner said that it has to be a higher number because of the.
Based on
15%?
the.
Would be a zoning.
Go ahead.
Goes to-
Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
I didn't explain that.
I just needed to explain to me.
Yeah, all right. Perhaps I can.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what happened was this. Obviously, there had been ongoing discussions and received an awful lot of it. And with the petition to decrease the amount of affordables from 15% to 10%, that would require not only a change to the zoning code, but also to your comprehensive plan. And in other jurisdictions from time to time, that occurs. Here, however, as pointed out by the planner, that was a change because the comprehensive plan is relatively new. And for, shall we say, consideration, it would be better off if we did not tinker with or try to amend the comprehensive plan. Because the comprehensive plan talks about affordables being 15%. And of course, what we were suggesting and asking as part of our petition was to reduce that number to 10%.
So he said that we would have to make a code change if it was 70 units at 15%? No,
10%,
but
at
15%.
10%.
if that's
No.
the code,
At 10,
No.
at 10%.
At 10,
we're not doing it 10%.
We're doing 15%.
doing 15.
So you want to increase the number in order to bring it up to 15%.
It was,
Yes, yeah, that's what it was originally.
go one step,
I understand.
I've been here a while, goes one step
Yeah.
further than that. We were at 77 units, at 15%.
Right.
We dropped it with preliminary discussions. We dropped it to the 10% and 70, and that doesn't seem to, that's the one that didn't seem to fly.
I understand. Is any of that based upon any feedback from the county at this point, or
No.
that's nothing to do with the county, only what's been happening here?
That is correct.
Okay, good.
So Gus and Rick, one of the other components we were talking about, the number of 3 bedrooms, when it was originally
That's-
proposed, it was all 3 bedrooms.
That stays, the same breakdown is 60%, 60-40.
So you're gonna have 60% 3,
Bedroom,
s-
40% 2-bedroom, exactly.
60%,
3.
3.
That has not changed.
So, the concern is always the impacts on the schools and services. And so this was, one of the reasons why we're trying to reduce the density to 70 and spread it out a little bit more. But you're saying that what? It's not affordable for you to, do the 15% within 70 units?
No, it isn't. The way the numbers work, it's at 70%, 70 units, 10% is 7 units. If we go to 15% on 70, it means an additional 5 units, because you end up with 11.2 units. You can't do it affordable. So it bumps you to the next one.
Right.
So it costs us 5 more affordable units that are always, when you do affordable, you usually like to get 3 to 1 to begin with before, market rate to affordable.
So the affordable
Maybe.
units, are they going to be 1, 2, or 3 bedrooms? Can we,
The affordable will be 2-bedroom is the plan.
Where was two?
I-
And
do you consider any 1 bedrooms?
We haven't, no.
All right.
We did over Summers Crossing. It was a mix of 2 and 3 bedroom. And the number of school age children, I could probably count on one hand.
And I know that over there you marketed that, it not said affordable housing, I mean, older people housing. Speaking as an older person, I can use those terms. You put it in, built in such a way that the master bedroom's on the bottom where it would appeal to people who are older. I forget, is that what you're doing here too?
Yes. Yes, the 3 bedrooms will all have master on the first floor. And the 2 bedrooms will be mostly will be 2-bedroom on the second floor.
So obviously there's no age restriction, but it's about the marketing and where you know that it should.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And how many,
It just kind of happened that way. We designed them. We weren't looking for age oriented. We want families and whatnot. But it just so hit that the big selling point was master bedroom on the first floor. And even with the younger people, we had plenty of younger people with no children, plenty, were not of school age, children, et cetera, same thing.
I guess stairs
Yeah.
are out of fashion.
Yeah, we got a certain model that 80% of the people, that was, the one they really wanted.
And how many kids do you get out of all those units? Do you know how many school age children you get?
I could definitely come up with that number.
I mean, is it 10, 20, 50?
No,
Just,
maybe, Jimmy, 4 or 5, literally out of 66 units.
Yeah.
Well, if you're marketing them to, the design of the units are for older residents. Is that, first bedroom floor, that type of thing?
We've got younger people,
Yeah.
prefer that.
I
That
mean,
was kind of a
we
joke.
want a mixture.
That was
Want to
kind of-
be like,
Yeah.
this isn't a whole
No.
old age town. I mean,
We do not,
we want a mixture. It's healthy for a town.
we have a great mix of people over there, age
We
wise.
want.
But as far as school age children, that was
Okay.
surprising. Very low numbers on that.
Okay.
It's just the way it turned out.
This may be a little different though, I think. Okay.
Prices will be about the same at your new place?
About the same,
About the same. Okay.
it's always hard to predict.
Right.
Say the truth.
I interrupted your presentation. I apologize.
No, that's the one change from the last time we were here. That major thing. Everything else is the same. Our access is from Route 6 and Mailpack Avenue. That was a big point of the board long ago.
DOT too.
It is fee simple. It is not, it's fee simple taxes.
Exit is only Mayapack Avenue though, right? Yeah.
Exit.
The entrance is both, but. the
Yes.
Exit's only Mayapack.
Yes, it's
They go-
entrance, it's right hand only off of Route 6. Right hand going in, right hand going out. There's no crossing any lane.
Okay.
That was its major point. That was and well-deserved point there. We're in line with the New York State push for housing and access near mass transit. And our community benefits package has been stated numerous times. It's the same thing. We will be doing the work at Angle Flies, removing all the buildings in the Angle Fly there, that area. Both above and below grade. Any hazardous materials will be removed and taken off site. We are taking on the full brunt of that project.
And the first thing you said was, you're removing everything and taking everything off.
Yes.
Not just the hazardous stuff,
No,
everything.
everything, yes. No, everything, including hazardous stuff, should have said.
And you'll test that soil?
Everything will be tested.
What sort of tests? I've asked this question, I know before, I don't wanna be redundant, but how are we gonna know what those tests, which test to use that will, so that we know, as you said, the soil will be virgin, basically. It'll be basically untouched, maybe cleared land, but basically when you're done with it, it's like natural land. So that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that that's so. And how will we know that that's so?
What-
How will you know it's so?
Well, at the time, we'll have a protocol written out that includes the town engineer, first of all. And it's,
They'll have to be approved by the town engineer as well as yours.
yes,
Want to talk
Yeah.
about
And
that?
yeah, there's a state protocol for, soil, parameters of which will have to be met. So, when you test the baseline, and then obviously if it goes back at the baseline, then you're fine. So that'll all be written to a protocol that'll be approved by the town engineer.
Tim, do you see any possibility, unforeseen consequence, unforeseen result of this? All possibilities you've thought through, so at the end, we don't go, oh, guess what? Something else came up.
I don't foresee anything. I mean, it was built on virgin ground originally.
Right.
And, less than maybe it was an oil tank that possibly leaked over the years. If it was put in, we're not even sure, we won't get there.
I don't-
But even if that's the case, it's usually local and cleaned up very quickly in that local,
A little closer to the mic, Tim.
The houses were never occupied,
no.
no,
right? So,
So most likely if there's an oil tank buried, it probably wasn't built.
correct.
But whatever those unforeseen things are, you'll take care of.
we are taking on responsibility.
That's clear in the intent.
Yeah.
to-
Just wanna,
Yeah.
just wanna check.
So here's the open thing, though. You haven't talked to the county yet,
Not until we
Yeah.
have a direction that,
but you don't, so they can come back and ask you for more affordables or more anything, right?
they could ask anything they want. We're not asking them for anything.
I understand.
Everybody who's been before you has gotten money from the state, county, or whoever they can. We're doing this all out of our pockets. We're
Yeah.
willing to give up the 15% affordable. That's not easy to do. And we're not getting anything from anybody.
Well, you're gonna have.
Yeah, you're gonna get sued as a sewer
I mean,
district.
So that's.
Right.
Yeah,
And
That's-
basically
that's-
the
that's-
county.
That's what's going.
that's it. That's their participation in it. Exactly.
That's a big
That's pretty big.
Nowadays it is.
Yeah, it is. That's right.
I mean, just generally right now, there's not money, there hasn't been money available, as I understand.
Right.
For affordable housing where they, sort of give you rebates and tax adjustments and so on,
Exactly.
that might have been available. So anything that's going on now, I think, is essentially going to be in a situation that you're in,
Yes.
Or from the state.
or from the state.
If I may just point one thing out that I think is important. Obviously, it's a zone change petition, but this is an implementation of precisely what you have in your code. And I think the key component to all of this, and it's set forth in the petition. The requirement for this zone is that the tract shall have frontage on Route 6 and be located no further than 2,000 linear feet measured along Route 6 from the center line of the intersection of Route 6 and Mayapack Avenue as measured to the property line closest to that intersection. This property, that's exactly what this property is. So you know, insofar as the implementation of what is your code provision, this fits hand in glove. And that's part of the reason why it's important.
And it's the last. There's no others.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the last,
This is the last property that could possibly come under this particular zone.
Right.
yeah, well, we appreciate you, working through the zone
Yeah.
and the zoning. But the larger issue for us and what we've been thinking through is that it's very dense up there. There's a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
And, there are other considerations, and putting volume up there is something that we're grappling with. You came with 97 units. We negotiated. We said we wanted 70. Now we're sort of in the middle of 77. But we're at the limits. I mean, there are other considerations, although the zoning as it's written probably can have you go much, much more. I don't think the area can handle it.
Well, that's something obviously that has to be shown, that there's the environmental carrying capacity of this land and the infrastructure around it. And that's precisely what we go through in a secret process. So that has to be addressed, and it will be.
Right.
And I'm sure it'll all get addressed appropriately.
Yeah, it will.
Just a question I've asked you before. Any feedback from people along Mayapack Avenue down there, other than the ones that are associated with the church?
Not to me,
Not yet.
not yet. Yeah.
And did you actually, someone said that you had paved that church? I know that was part of your deal with them.
Yeah.
You had done that. That's true.
They've been good neighbors. Yes.
And you've been
Paid-
neighbors to them, and that's,
We paid the parking lot.
you did. Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
think it's all set forth in the letter that's
100%.
part of the
Yeah,
submission today.
okay.
It's in your packets.
Last question. You also have made a point down here, it's geothermal, and you said you're gonna do something better up there. And I've asked this like 3 times, so I guess
What's better?
personal curiosity,
What's better?
like, how does that work? And have you worked that out, or that's still to come?
To a certain degree, and I thought that we had forwarded you months ago some information on the
Geothermal.
the heating, the heat pumps.
Yeah.
But I'll,
Well, you had mentioned that last time.
no, we put together something.
Yeah.
It was
I
forwarded.
think you did.
You did.
Let-
You did.
That's it, though?
That's it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
air to air heat. pumps.
Yeah, you spoke about that the last time you were
Yep.
here. Okay, so that's it.
But I think we forwarded some information directly to you, because I know you were interested.
Really?
I'll pull it out again. Yeah.
All right. My apologies if so. But I do remember you talking about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'll make sure we get it.
Oh, well, thank you.
So there it is.
There it is.
Thank you for your persistence.
That's short for you. What are you kidding?
Well, I think we've said an awful lot over the past 2 years, but I think that.
It hasn't been that long. It hasn't been 2 years, has it?
You're an
Absolutely.
Yes, it has.
And I know it has.
So, once this thing,
I know it has.
what's the runway? Once this thing breaks ground, it almost took us 10 years to get the development across the way from the first day you walked in. What would, from a planning perspective, when the school thinks through this and from a service point of view, what's the time frame? 2, 3 years? What?
That,
More.
more than that.
Yeah. So people have to realize out there
I've-
watching and people who are out here tonight, and this doesn't happen overnight.
If it was 5 years, it's extended.
Yeah,
Really?
it doesn't happen overnight, and depending on which direction that the board wants to take, there's a long process ahead of us.
Yes.
This is just,
County.
they have to do with the-
Yeah.
correct.
Or that.
This is just to get started. That's all.
this is just to get started to see if it's even feasible to
Exactly.
do the
Exactly.
project.
Exactly.
So the younger guys have a lot in front of them.
Exactly.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay,
Let's say
Okay,
go.
all right.
Yeah, go with it.
all right, so, on here for the, on this is, A is the accept the petition, B is declare intent to act as lead agency under SECR, and then C, authorize circulation of notice of intent with EAF and supporting documentation to interested and involved agencies, including the town of Somers Planning Board and Westchester County. Well, can I put all these 3 of these together?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make the motion to, approve A, B, and C.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye, so moved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, and happy holidays.
Thanks.
Two.
Thanks a lot,
Okay.
Holly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am going to,
Good one.
thank you. I'm going to move, number 5, the Lincoln Hall presentation, with Vincent Moderna. And, the assistant Executive Director, and he's the Assistant Executive Director, and Dr. Coughlin, the Chief Program Officer, to give us an update on Lincoln Hall.
All right. Good evening.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us. Supervisor Scarano and the council invited us to, come back and talk to you about, like, you just said, the changes at Lincoln Hall. Lincoln Hall was last here May of 2022 when then Executive Director Noble Varghese spoke. Our current Executive Director, Jeremy Compan, he's on a board call right now that Vincent and I just left. So I'm going to speak briefly and Vincent will take over. I know there's, a lot of changes and a lot of questions about those changes, but I just want to preface it by saying that kind of the nature of childcare has been evolving ever since we got started in this back in 1863. We originally serviced Civil War orphans and indigent youth in New York City who were, destitute. And it evolved over time. We moved from Manhattan to Parkchester in the Bronx. And then in 1907, we bought the Green, the Roxor, the Teat and the Teed rather, and the Wright farm. So eventually we got up to like 1,200 acres up here. And over time, we sold some of the acres back to the town for like where the high school is and where the Primrose School is. And we also gave the land across the street for the firehouse. Over the years, I think we've tried to foster a very good relationship with the town. We've hosted many events, Boy Scout jamborees, youth soccer, many other things. We've allowed Kennedy and Somers High School to use our facilities for sports and, training and actual games and whatnot. But going back to the change, I know that, like I said, we started with orphans, but in the 50s and 60s, it became court mandated youth. And that became pretty much our forte over the years. But the juvenile justice system has changed radically because of the spirit of the times, politics, money. It's just underfunded. And so back in 2012, we did introduce the federal population, which I know is one of the things in question tonight. To make it clear, even though we've suspended taking admissions as far as the state kids at this present time, that doesn't mean that this might not reopen sometime in the future. It's just that in the present rather, it's not financially viable to continue doing so. And despite all the changes, one thing that hasn't changed is our mission. Our mission has always been to provide young men with a safe environment, with all the basics, with an education, and give them the opportunity to grow, to teach them moral values, and to really, we always said, guide them to useful manhood. That was our old logo or our old saying. And over the years, Lincoln Hall has serviced over 150,000 kids, probably about 50,000 of them since we've been up in this area, where we started, like I said, as an agricultural training school. I do want to stress, though, that, even though there's questions, our primary thing has always been safety. It's safety for the youth, safety for our staff, but certainly safety for the community. I mean, we've had a good working relationship with the state police, with the Somers Police Department, but on property, we're vigilant. I mean, we have 24/7 supervision. Our youth do not go anywhere unescorted, which is not to say things haven't happened. I've been there 44 years. I've seen a lot of things happen, to be honest with you, obviously, but I think that, we do pride ourselves in that. And I know there's a couple of former investigators here, and compared to a lot of other places, I think we've been a lot more successful in maintaining an overall atmosphere of security.
Why do you think that is, that you've been more successful?
I just think, that we've been vigilant and responsible. I really do. I mean, I think every meeting, the safety issues are addressed. And, we have trainings on positioning, proper positioning of staff and, and protocols. And I think we're pretty good in following those.
Dr. Coughlin, can you maybe talk about the two programs? The court mandated program is now sort of, being suspended, I guess is probably.
Yeah,
it's
it's not completely over right now. And like I said, there's still hope to rebuild that. But, the court mandated program is that we took males from 12 to 18. They were here for, like Noble spoke the last time, not severe offenses. We did, as the young woman who spoke prior to us, there's certain rule out criteria we've always had: fire setters, sexual offenders, things of that nature. But we did take kids who were involved in auto theft and not so much crimes against persons, but more crimes against property.
Those are all
And in that program,
mandated. Those are all court mandated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did have voluntaries for quite a while.
Wow.
And did have persons in need of supervision.
Right.
But I'd say 95% of the youth that have been here in my 44 years have been court.
Okay.
So, but
but in that, I'm sorry.
So I think that I think a lot of times the question is, right, is the New York State kids, you can verify who they were. Right? You can verify if they had any offenses or of that nature. I think sort of the questions that the community has is, how do you verify for the other program? How do you verify kids who are coming to the border? How do we know that those kids aren't the sexual offenders or the criminals of that nature? How do we go make sure that the community, as we move more into this you know,
Part of
new program, right? Well, not new program. It's been here since
No.
2012.
Yeah, so like.
But how do you verify that?
Well, I mean, Vincent will speak more to that, but I'll speak to what I know. I mean, the government has, their own vetting program. They have different levels, and we're called a shelter program, which is really the lowest level, what they perceive the lowest risk. They have other youth that may have mental health issues or like you said, conceivably criminal issues, but that's not what gets placed at a shelter program. Now, it's different than when we did the vetting ourselves, admittedly, than the government doing it. I mean, we were involved in the process. With the state kids, we could check the court records. We did have a thorough referral process. We interviewed youth, their families, talked to the lawyers and even the judges at times. So yeah, it is different, but it doesn't mean that they come in unchecked.
So you've been doing since 2012.
Yes.
What's your experience with the population that's come through here?
I mean, they've been far less problematic than the court mandated youth, to tell you the truth. I mean, our goal is to reunify them with their families as soon as possible. And the average length of stay is just over 40 days. We try to get, and there is, again, another vetting process with the prospective parent, guardian, or sponsor in this country. They have to go through background checks, fingerprinting themselves. We try to make sure they go to a safe environment once they leave us. But the kids come, the court mandated youth would come, and a lot of times, they want to get back home. That's why we've had AWOCs, as we call them. It used to be called AWOLs, but now they changed the terminology. But anyway, I mean, that was an issue at times in the past. But these guys, they're eager to rejoin a family member in this country, so they're not going to.
So are you? What do you do? How do you when you're taking care of them? And are there a school program that you deal with them? Will any of these population end up in the local school district?
No,
Will there be other services that you require from Somers as we go through this?
Every youth in both programs is always educated on property. We have a New York State certified school, which is more for the state kids, obviously. But all of the youth that have come to us through ORR are also educated on property.
So I just wanted to touch upon that. You're a New York State accredited school,
Yes,
correct?
we have been for years.
And this probably goes to some of the layoffs that we've talked about. That program, the court youth, they were there for long periods of time, longer periods of time.
Yes, it was usually a 12 to 18-month placement.
And so essentially you were educating them within the context of what they need.
Yes, kids would get GEDs. Some even got high school diplomas while there.
You had one, I know, went to college. He was a good football player for you.
Yes, sir, Aaron Taylor.
Sir, right, sir.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've
Went to
had,
Rutgers, I think.
I mean, if you look at our records, obviously there's been tragic situations. We've had a lot of success stories too. I mean, we had one youth he's older than me, probably became a state senator, if that's possible, a state senator out in California. We've had two guys in recent years get master's degrees from St. John's. So, I mean, we have a scholarship program, which we're very proud of. So, but that's with the state kids, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And how many kids do you have in the program? Now that the New York State program is going to be put on hold, how many federal program, how many kids are you going to have for the federal program?
Our licensure is for 100, but the number vacillates. It doesn't, it be as low as 20 could go,
and that's always been 100, correct?
No, it's for when we do the contract with the government, they determine
But you contract out for a number of beds, and then you don't know when they're going to be they can be filled at any time during that contract. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So, I mean, the question is, will the program expand to 200?
I don't know the answer to that.
And would that would require a license change? And
Definitely.
like, is that within your plan?
It would require a license change. It's almost like a whole new proposal to the government if that were to shift, yes.
And is it your thinking that you're gonna do that? Maybe you both can kind of answer the question.
I'll let Vincent because he's the change man.
Thank you, Dr. C. It's a beautiful suit. Thank you guys for the invitation. Just to be very clear, the federal government program is a highly regulated program. Every child is vetted in when they come and detained at the border, to when they're in our program, to when they leave our program, in all three different stages. We have a great case management team that does a lot of the vetting for the sponsors. Our number one goal in this program is the safe and timely release back to a family or sponsor. That is our number one goal. My name is Vincent Madera. I'm from Children's Village. So as Noble, who you guys know, stepped down, the board has asked Children's Village and engaged Children's Village to come and provide transition executive leadership. What our main goal is to keep Lincoln Hall. This is not a merger. We're not trying to buy property. This Lincoln Hall will be Lincoln Hall. Lincoln Hall has been part of this community for a very long time. Just a little bit about Children's Village. Children's Village is very similar to Lincoln Hall. We were founded in 1851, working with three major populations. Immigration, we actually started our humanitarian work in New York State. We were the first people to do it. As well as children affected by child welfare and foster care and juvenile justice. And we've been doing it in Dobbs Ferry, New York, which is a neighboring town. You guys beat us in football all the time. Thank you for that. What we do, and again, we want to help with the strategic plan. Our number one goal is to get to the capacity of 100 right now. Nothing is changing. That is our capacity. We want to hire the staff to get there and do it. If there are any changes, you guys will be the first to know. That's not.
So from the community's perspective, if you get to 100, that, the 100 would turn over maybe 4 times a year.
More than 4 times.
More than 4 times.
But so average length of stay is 43 days.
Okay, so
That's the
and what will the public see in terms of, children coming in? Will they see buses come in? Will constant,
Yeah. So no, it's going to be the same buses you've seen. We
school buses, charter buses,
right? So we contract with just because you see a charter bus, it could be 2-3 kids in that charter bus.
Yes.
Right? Because this is what the transportation.
It's not the 100 kids.
No, it's not. It's not at all. Again, this is humanitarian work. This is we work with children. And that's what I want to make very clear. And again, our number one goal for all children that come is the safe and timely release.
Children's Village in Dobbs Ferry is much more intense in terms of the services that they offer.
Absolutely.
I think, right? Maybe you can explain that, because some of the questions I get, we have community people that work, I think, in that setting, and drawing the comparison to what's going on in Lincoln Hall, or what's proposed to go on in Lincoln Hall with this new change. Maybe you can make a few remarks about that.
Absolutely. So Children's Village, again, works with 3 major populations with number one goal. Number one goal is to return them back to family, because we know that love and belonging from a family is essential in the future success of any child. We are our own children that we grew up with. So that's our number one goal. We do have different levels of care and that's the biggest difference from Lincoln Hall. Lincoln Hall has the lowest level of care for our federal program, which is shelter. We run the gamut. But we focus on treatment. So when they're with us, their treatment for a short period of time, and then get them back to the family. At Lincoln Hall, this is the lowest level of care, which is the shelter care, where it's the children vetted have the least amount of behaviors that are high risk that are here with us. Children's Village has dealt with all different care for the federal program, from the state programs, and from foster care.
Once they leave your facility, Is there a follow-up period?
Yes, there is, we have an amazing case, in Lincoln Hall, we have an amazing case management team that does follow-ups. We only can do what the federal government allows us to do, and I believe that's 30 to 60 days after they leave, but they go anywhere from wherever the sponsor is.
So basically could be 103 days then, with the 43 days that they could possibly be there, plus the 60 days, so 103 days that
It could be, but that
could be less, could be.
It's the
that-
follow-up is like a phone call to talk to the sponsors or to the family members.
Okay.
And they're not in the Somers community when they.
Right.
If you mentioned there's different levels of
Yes, sir.
what do we want, concern or something. Let's say someone and so the least restrictive are those who are seeking shelter,
Yes,
kids.
yes.
And what if the behaviors don't fit that? Would you then put them in
Yes, so it's a highly regular
children's village to say
way.
we have more oversight, more control? It's
So each level of care comes with more services, and higher regulations. So if there's a child that is displaying, we're speaking generally now, if there's a child displaying behaviors that are higher risk than what a shelter can provide, the federal government, we make a referral to the federal government to replace them.
at Children's Village or somewhere else.
As whoever has an opening.
And he will go to the cottage school down in Pleasantville?
No,
None, that's a separate,
I actually don't know if the cottage, Pleasantville has an ORR program.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, and then another question was the facilities, our children are educated on campus as a federal regulation. They do not and will not attend summer schools.
What about gender? I mean, it's primarily been math.
It continues to be a all boy facility.
You don't see that changing?
We right now, again, our focus is to get to the 100 of our current contract. If anything changes, you'll be the first to know.
Is that a license issue or is that something
No, it's something that we decided.
decided to do?
Yeah.
When you educate them, is the primary purpose of that in a short period of time language, or these are already English speaking? It would seem to.
No, it's we do have a focus on language, but we do want to focus on the transition to a what they're going to get used to when they are discharged.
Cultural.
Yeah, cultural as well as
But
their
language
subjects.
certainly a big part of it.
100%, yes.
So Vincent, when they're discharged, are they discharged to New York State families or might they be other locations in the country?
There's around the country. What the federal government tries to do is place them in shelters that the sponsors are closer to, just because it's easier. But they can go anywhere across the country.
I mean, you have any proportion that you can share?
Now I could get through those numbers. We don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, Lincoln Hall specific. We don't.
okay. The larger issue here is, we have a facility that's been in place for a long period of time. It's open spaces. It sounds like you're having some fun, you're going through a business, you're a 501(c), but you're probably not operating as efficiently as you could be with the court remanding program essentially going away. So you're looking for other lines of business.
Well, I think yes. Well, it's not. We look at it as whatever the mission is.
I understand
needed.
missions, yes.
Yeah, no, but whatever the need of the mission is. So
Right.
we don't see it that it was, we made the decision based on a financial decision. However, it was because we couldn't meet the needs because we weren't receiving the money that we needed to meet those needs.
So are there so when you think about this strategically, maybe this get a little bit ahead of ourselves, but you have, one program going away, you have the court, you have the federal program expanding. Might there be another program that you're kind of considering or, could be in your future?
Well, like Dr. Coughlin said, we don't want to close the door on our state programs. We know that there is a need. We just want to structure a program that can meet that need. And we need to press the reset button in order to do that.
Now, your relationship with, Children's Village and Catholic Charities.
Yes.
I mean, essentially, those are just general business relationships, or are they equity relationships? I mean, how does that work?
So, well, we're in the same mission. So we've been partners for a very long time. And our relationship with Catholic Charities, with Monsignor, who's on the board, is what helped us get engaged in this relationship.
Okay.
Is for Lincoln Hall itself, this is there's always rumors about what's happening at Lincoln Hall. And at one point you did sell off land to create that golf course across the street from it. Is this a financially viable thing to continue? I mean, is that how you foresee it?
That's our goal. We want it to continue. We want to continue. And
Okay.
we do see that we can do that.
And just going back to some of the earlier questions, just to make sure I understand, the verification of the ages,
Yes.
you're not able to actually do that.
We actually have, federal government has done,
Federal government does.
but it gives us the resources. So we're able to do anything. And again, we're talking generally. If there's a question about someone's age, maybe because there's no birth certificate, we're able to do different things to determine the age, as far as bone density scans.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This is a continuation of the program that's already there.
Yeah, so with the word change is what's weird to me, because nothing's really changing in the program. We're just continuing with the program and going, making sure that we are doing what's contracted.
Does that require any new security? The question came up. or
No, so
less security?
no line of sight it's a highly regulated program. We know where every child is at every given time. And we have to, the federal government makes sure that we do that in terms of census numbers ratio. And we do the numbers in every movement, wherever the child goes.
Yeah.
How many people are employed there and where do you want to get to roughly?
Increasing. And
Yeah.
I said, we're, right now, we're just over 200. It's going to go down with what's going on to probably
150.
40.
Yeah.
Now, there's people who are leaving, are you going to replace them as the program gets bigger? Are you going to replace them with federal workers or?
Different skill sets. I
Different
mean, what skill sets?
Yeah, so we are prioritizing bilingual staff with experience. So individuals who speak both English and Spanish, because just occurs, I mean, obviously the kids we're serving. And we will absolutely, we will replace them to make sure that we get the ratio that we need to serve those children.
Just in general, I mean, people are familiar with different types of services, IEAP services, and so that they have at the schools and such. I mean, what's the bandwidth that you're dealing with in such a short period of time when you're turning these children through your system? What are you dealing with?
In terms of education, like
Education.
So
special
again,
needs.
yeah. So the mandate is that we provide 6 hours of education a day for that population. Again, with the goal of introducing them to the language, introducing to what they might get used to. There is an educational assessment that happens within 3 days of them being there. And so anywhere from because of the journey are generally speaking the kids go through, sometimes school is an option in their home country, not a mandate. And so or they can't go. Right. So we get that. And we also, it depends on the child and their journey.
Now, earlier you mentioned, I think, that none of the residents come through unchecked, and that's great. And I think you said you had two kinds of population: the court mandated, which is easy to check because there's some sort of records, and then the undocumented minors that come through, which are going to be more difficult. And I think you said, they're vetted at the border. And that's kind of the thing that we get a lot of questions about. How do you, and I think the first question was, how do you know these people are who they say they are and are as old as they say they are? And I believe when your predecessor or Noble took us through the process, he explained it. And yes, you do your checks and balances. But if the ultimate starting first step is this paperwork that they get when they first cross the border, is there anything you can tell us about that process that will assuage people's concerns?
It depends. It depends on what the child brings to the border. Remember, all these children are unaccompanied.
Yep.
Right. So families are not being separated. These are all unaccompanied children coming on their own.
Mhm.
And so it depends on what they come with. And if they come with nothing, we do everything we can to find it. We work with home country government to see if we can find documentation, things like that.
I'm curious, how long are they, I hate to use the word, detained at the border?
So
Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
How long are they detained at the border before to find all the information. If someone comes, doesn't have all the information on them, undocumented, how long do they get detained there before they're released or?
So at the border, it's a mandate. You can't stay longer than 72 hours at the border because because of our Office of Refugee Resettlement, children shouldn't be with adults.
That's for children.
Yes, for
Children.
children. And so children can go to an influx shelter and they could be there from 20 to 30 days getting vetted. And if they don't have, this is one of the ways that kids come through, right? They go to influx shelters, which is located near the border, where they get vetted. And if they have a family member that they can go to, then we work with to get them discharged to their family member from there. For those who need a little more time, they'll come to shelters across the United States.
Okay.
But just, this is so that no one would misunderstand, or maybe I misunderstood. This has nothing to do with buses coming into New York City.
Absolutely not.
People going into hotels and New York City's going, what do we do with?
And we do not serve that population.
Okay, so
Yeah.
nothing to do
Nothing.
with that.
What about flying into the airport at Westchester? That's some of the rumor mill, people coming in through Westchester Airport.
So our kids come from many different all airports, but we know where who's taking them, where they're
Yeah,
coming from.
okay.
Yeah, but we're not. They come from. These are the kids that are unaccompanied at the border. We're not getting them from.
And what's your success ratio? In other words, once somebody comes through and you try to place them and they're either on average 42 days or hopefully 2 weeks and move on to a family member, regardless of timetables, what's your success ratio in placing them with some friend or family member?
I will absolutely get you the exact number, but we have a great case management team that vets and places. And I would.
And what happens?
80%.
80%?
I would.
And what
get
happens to
that
that other 20%?
Well, so there's different levels of care. So that if there's a child the reasons why children may be, again, generally speaking, children that may be here longer is because there is no sponsor, right? Not because of the behaviors of the kids. And if that's the case, OR does have a level of care called long-term foster care. And then we look to see if we could place them in a foster care home under the federal government.
Literally a family home?
Yeah.
Or a group home?
Both. So there's group home and there's there can be family depending on age.
Lincoln Hall's max capacity when it was working at its fullest, what was that number?
254.
254, right? So currently right now it's 100 for this program.
Max.
Max. But you could go to that number if you had to go through contracts all over again.
Converted the cottages, 2 of them have been converted to 10-room cottages.
Maybe so everybody can.
Yeah.
do that.
No, I said we've had to do conversions over the years. I mean, it was all dorm style living
Right.
at one point, but 2 of the cottages are now 10-bedroom cottages as opposed to 24 bed, 12 dorm, 2 times 2. So no, we'd never reach that capacity again. The cottages for the state kids were limited. The 2 that had individual rooms, 10 and 10, so that's 20. And then the other cottages were down to 16. So, I mean, just roughly, probably the 190s is the highest we could go. We never could hit 254 again.
190, okay.
But you'd have to have your contract. Do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
He just meant capacity.
Yes, I understand.
capacity.
Uh,
I want to make sure it's
Made individual rooms, we lost capacity.
right.
Got it, okay.
Well, good.
Well, appreciate your candor. We get a lot of questions, from the public. It's always helpful to get when you in front of us to sort of explain what's happening. And, just keep us ahead of the public in some respects in terms of when you're making changes. Transparency is important. I mean, there's no question that we're in the middle of a humanitarian crisis, but that's testing our services.
For sure.
But, some of this is self-inflicted and then it gets political and not everybody, agrees with participating in something that they may not be in agreement with from start. But, Lincoln Hall's been here for decades and you've been doing your mandate, been doing it in a way that's, seamlessly worked with the community. The fact that we have that space over there and it's functional and we do conduct meetings there as a town, and maybe in the future, we can open up the ball fields again, where you guys, do that. I think all that type of transparency is helpful.
You will love that.
It's important.
But in some, this is not a new program.
No.
This is
not.
continuation of basically what you've been doing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nomination.
And I want to thank you guys for coming in. I know you guys, when I asked you to come in and to speak, you guys were, yeah, we're on it. We'll be there. And I appreciate it. I think it's important for the community to hear directly from you, especially since there's a transition from Noble to yourself and Dr. Coughlin. I know your first day. I remember you talked to me about your first day of the job. I remember hearing that. So
I remember.
yeah, you'll not forget that day.
Leader of a community.
Yeah. But I do appreciate you guys coming in. You've been part of this community, and and anytime that we can have this open dialogue and this open line of communication, I think it's great for the community. I think it's great for everybody involved. So I appreciate you guys coming today.
Just have one additional comment. One thing I know, a lot of questions get asked, but regardless of which population is, these young men, we have to protect their rights, between HIPAA, between state and federal regulations, between, confidentiality laws. I mean, and plus, we're there to meet their needs. So I know sometimes people feel they have the right to know, and I can understand concerns. And like I said, safety is our business as well. But the young man's rights are extremely important, and we really have to guard those. So.
And we will absolutely be transparent of the questions we can't answer. And so, but we can speak generally about what the program looks like, and we're happy to join any meeting.
So Vincent, just one other side note, though, you guys do Title I funding, right? You're going to continue to do that. And just for the public, our school district, our finance
Yeah.
department, the school district supports
They do.
your grant process as Title I funding.
They do.
Are you going to need their support going forward? What's the plans?
So Somers has been, school district has been extremely collaborative with this transition. We're trying to get the understanding from Albany what that would look like when we press the pause button. And so we're waiting for answers from Albany of what that would look like.
Okay.
It's been a couple of months though. Vince and I have been over there, and we've been regularly communicating on
I
that.
appreciate that.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. All right, on to number 3 here. Authorize supervisor to execute the renewal contract for the town's 2024 tax map maintenance. From Teresa Stegner, the town assessor, dated November 6, 2023. I'll make a motion to authorize.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Should move right along. Number 4, authorize the supervisor to execute memorandum of understanding MOA between the County of Westchester and the Town of Somers, which provides town personnel remote access to the county clerk's Westchester records online, the WRO, through December 31st, 2024. And that's from with the town clerk's option to extend the license for 4 additional 1-year periods on the same terms and conditions. Make a motion to authorize.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, so moved. Okay.
Wow.
Parks and Rec, no additional business, financial, no.
Votes, I got-
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
we just have these, but it's fine. It's cool. No additional business for finance, highway, no additional business, and personnel. We do have some current vacancies on our boards, the Affordable Housing Board, Partners in Prevention. We do have some, and I believe one still on the Veterans Committee, but I think we have filled that position. So if anybody's interested in joining one of our boards, please let us know. We have one on the Zoning Board of Appeals as well, and the Library Board of Trustees, which is ending here on the 31st of this month. On to the next one. Authorized 2023 out of title adjustment for Catherine DeSisto, Secretary of the Superintendent of Highways, in the amount of $4,000 per November 27th, 2023 memo from Nicholas DeVito, Superintendent of Highway. I'll make a motion to authorize.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Request to pay out 25 unused vacation days for Stephen Ralston, Superintendent of Parks and Recreation, per email dated November 30th, 2023, from Stephen Ralston, Superintendent of Parks and Recreation.
And I assume this has gone through finance.
Yes, it has.
Sure, it's not just.
It has gone through
Wow.
finance, came through
It's
my office
fantastic.
as well. We're trying to get ahead of the game. He seems to accumulate all these vacation
It
days.
doesn't take many.
He doesn't take many. He's a steward worker, so he works countless hours. So this is just a way to get back onto track. So I would request that to authorize for him to take that.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. It's getting just tongue
Yeah,
tied.
you go too fast.
I'm getting tongue tied. And then the next one, request to pay out 10 unused vacation days
Well,
to Thomas J. Tuma, building inspector, per email dated November 30th, 2023, from Thomas J. Tuma, building inspector. You have the same one? It is
It's
10.
15.
It is 10. It is 10.
I would've-
Cross that out.
I have,
I talked about it. It is
Mine's 10.
oh,
it's 10. It's we looked at the timestamp,
Right.
so it is
10.
10.
right now, it's 10.
I'll make a motion to pay out the request.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Planning and engineering, no additional. Police, no additional. Proposed consensus agenda, we'll put that over to next week. Thank you, Patty. And then calendar, December 14th is our next town board regular meeting. And then we're into January. We'll have one on January 4th and the 11th. And that will be, we have organization meeting and town board work session and then regular meeting, and then in February 1st and the 8th as well.
If you think Rob's talking quick now, wait to the organization.
Yeah. Yes. And then we do, let's see if I can find it here. Some town board announcements. The menorah lighting, like I said, is tomorrow here at the Elephant Hotel. Kicks off at 5:15, and then the menorah lighting was actually at 6. The Somers High School Veterans Lunch is tomorrow. That is at 10:30 at the Somers High School. So the vigil for the healing of humanity, that will be Sunday, December 10th at 2 p.m. at Reese Park. Town Christmas tree tradition, that is a 6-foot ruler. Please call for appointment so we can put the ruler out there and you can take a picture in front of the tree.
Is that ruler out there?
It's not out there.
We took it back?
We take it because it's by appointment.
Stays indoors.
It stays indoors, then we
Oh,
put it out there.
I just thought it was out there the whole time.
No.
Oh.
And then Illuminate Somers, Parade of Lights, organized by the Somers Lions and sponsored by the Paramount of Somers. That is Sunday, December 17th. Starting times can be scheduled in half-hour increments, starting at 5 p.m. Okay,
And just so people know, this year, it's 30 cars per increment. It's not an unlimited number of cars, so it's 30 cars. When you sign up, you'll sign up for a time spot. You know, if you show up early, you'll probably have to wait for your time spot, so.
yeah, please show up on time so you don't clog up traffic and make it harder for people to go around you. So, that's all I would
And
assume.
police is doing a great job coordinating this with us.
Yes, they are.
Thank you.
Of course, as always.
And then Holidays on the Hill annual train show, and that's at Lasden Park, and that's through Sunday, December 31st. And that's right on Route 35. Muscoot Farm Holiday Lights on the Farm. That's Fridays and Saturdays, 8th and 9th, 15, 16, and that's from 5 to 8 p.m. And it's $6 general admission per person. Free for children under 2. And the event is rain or shine. Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day and the 82nd anniversary since the attack in Hawaii that began the U.S. involvement in World War II. And that is
Tomorrow.
that's tomorrow.
All right.
Tomorrow.
And then we have upcoming, please all mark your calendars, the Town of Somers Blood Drive, January 5th, and that's 1:30 to 7:30 right here at the townhouse. Patty, anything?
I have a fun
Mm,
fact for today.
What is it?
The oldest living land animal is a tortoise named Jonathan, who turned 191 this year. He was born in 1832 and lives in the island of St. Helena in the Atlantic Ocean.
Wow,
Wow.
Something to shoot for.
sensational.
Shoot.
I got a fun fact for Patty.
Wait, there's 112 days to opening day. And of course, my wonderful Somers Tuskers came back with another state champ.
Here, here.
Okay, what's your fun fact, Rich?
As fun fact for Patty, which is the Yankees are getting Juan Soto.
Majority of this board doesn't care.
It's
Thanks anyway.
a little private conversation here, Mo.
Right.
Bill, anything?
One last thing, the Somers Lions Club Adopt a Family holiday holiday initiative is underway. It'll be distributed next Saturday, the 16th, December 16th. But go to somerslionsclub.org if you can contribute.
Yes, and the town, as the employees here in the town have taken up that that with the Somers Line. So we're very
Greatly-
excited to help out one of the families here in town.
Great program. Appreciate the support.
Rich?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, I just want to say, I unfortunately won't be able to make next week's meeting, which is the last of the year. So I did want to take the opportunity, you guys will do it next week, wish everybody a happy Hanukkah, starting tomorrow, a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and just please be safe and continue to try to be kind to each other. It's been a good year this year with the board. I think we've worked well together, and we appreciate everybody. We appreciate everybody who comes out here to the meetings twice a month, Linda and Patty and Roland. So, but I'm not going to be able to make it. So Merry Christmas, Happy New
Miss you.
Year, and Happy Hanukkah.
We'll miss you.
Thank you.
And we
I'm gonna miss. Are we having
Oh, we will. So guys.
Oh,
we'll
God's
do-
sake.
one of my favorite
we'll
meetings?
do
Ugly
ugly
sweater.
sweater.
Yes.
We'll do ugly sweater. So Roland.
Something.
I don't have any.
Well, you're gonna have to go at one.
Don't worry.
All over every store you go to, you can find one.
That
Roland,
was not
don't
that
worry.
good. I just tell you.
Wears one of his normal sweaters, and he usually wins.
Yeah, yeah.
So just because you think it's nice doesn't mean others don't think it's ugly.
Very, very true. Well, on the ugly sweater,
Happy
Nope.
birthday, Brady.
well, that would be next week. Next week.
Oh.
Next week.
Next week.
Next week is
Oh, is
it
it?
is, yeah, the 14th. And but on that note, I'll make the motion to close out tonight's
Second.
Crown Board work session. Favor?
All right.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.